Alright, so now it's time to test the kickstands to see if they're decent quality, if they'll be durable, if it's going to be stable enough while it's sitting up. We'll find out. First up is the expensive wildcard, and it's a Fluke. So it comes with a magnetic hanging strap. This is a magnet, but it also doubles as a kickstand because it doesn't have one built in. So you can. The cool thing about it though is you can adjust the angles. You can have it more upright or more lean back just by adjusting where the magnet sticks. It's kind of like the smart covers for iPads, but it's okay. It's got a really light range switch, so but pushing the buttons when it's at a higher position, not good. Even when it's leaned back further, it's still not good because it's beyond the pivot point. So yeah, you can't push buttons while it's on the kickstands, but it's kind of one of those compromise type kickstands, you know. It's for the Chinese market. It's built down to a cost, so not great, but it's at least it's adjustable, and at least it also serves as a magnetic strap, so yeah, it's okay. The Innova, so it's got this kind of neat thing where you can like make sure you don't drop it, or you can put it on your wrist while you're working on other stuff. So that's pretty cool. And then you have to move it to the side and then open the kickstand. But if it's snapped down, it's actually pretty hard to get out. Oh, actually, no, I lied. That wasn't bad. Maybe I've worn it in enough. But anyways, you can pull it up, and then it's pretty far back angled, but there's no buttons to push, so you can't really test that. But yeah, kickstand works fine. Southwire, pretty good size kickstand. That's really tall, so it's a high center of gravity, and then the base is kind of small and rounded. So it wobbles a little when you turn the range switch, but it seems to be fine, and I can push the buttons. Obviously, if you do it too much, it'll eventually fall over, but it's fine. Tekpower TP2844R. This looks kind of like the Amprobe one, if I remember correctly. It's really hard to get out without using a screwdriver. I mean, ow, man, that hurts. Well, it's stupid hard to get out, but I'm sure that'll wear out if you use it often enough. But if you're at your bench, you got a coin or a screwdriver, so not a big deal. It's kind of stubby, but it's a wide and low multimeter, so yeah, plenty stable, no problems. Holdpeak. It's easy to get out. Looks a little flimsy, and it's very tall. It's not even fitting in the frame. It's tall, but it's an adjustable type. So here's the first position. But it just being tall with a super high center of gravity and the bottom being rounded, it's kind of floppy. And in the top position, it's kind of hard to push the buttons and wants to fall back. But then there's the next position, which then you can push the buttons just fine. It's definitely more stable overall. And then if you fold it all the way up, you can use it as a hanger. Actually, there's another even lower position. But it's adjustable. It's not bad. It's feels cheap, but it's adjustable, so I think it's decent. Okay, Tekpower TP40. Easy to open. Don't know how rugged that'll be because it looks like a shaft type that goes through instead of the ones that'll pop off with the little nubs, but it's pretty stable-ish, but you can't push the buttons without it falling over, so I know Dave Jones would hate this because that's like was it the UEI one that he reviewed that was like that, so kind of crap, to be honest. And it's surprising because it's a really wide meter with a really wide kickstand, so they just don't let it angle back far enough. That's as far as it'll go. So if it angled back a little farther, you'd be able to push the buttons. UEI, UTL, UTL DM2. Pretty easy to get out. Feels a little flimsy, but nice and stable, no complaints. And yeah, you can push the buttons. It starts to slide back, but most do. BK Precision. Easy to get out. by far the flimsiest feeling of all of them. But due to its really light and smooth range switch, it seems pretty stable. Button pushing, it's okay. It's doable, but definitely the cheapest feeling, but it gets by. Klein Tools MM2000. Huge slot. It's like there's a magnet that you could snap into here or something is my guess. Actually no, because then it doesn't fold all the way over like some of the other ones. Well, anyways, it's easy to get out. It's a really long kickstand. But it's nice and stable. And you can push the buttons just fine. So this one's very good. Uni-T UT61D. Easy to get out. Not sure how durable that'll be, but it's very low, far back angle. Oh, I love the range switch on this one, I really do. But yeah, it's super duper stable. It's not moving at all. Yeah, very good. Amprobe AM-530. Easy to get out. It's kind of meh. It is a neat touch that they put the rubberized stuff at the end. Super duper stable. No problems at all. I just noticed it has a flashlight built into it. That's interesting. We'll cover that later. Circuit test DMR 6550. Stupidly hard to get out. If it starts to hurt my fingers, it's not a good design in my opinion, but some people might argue. I might have calloused sausage fingers that can get that out. You can already tell this is going to be floppy because that's as far back as it'll go. Yeah, and the bottom is narrow as hell. It's rounded. Yeah, that's crap. And then I can already tell because of the angle of this that pushing the buttons. Yeah. So, not very good on this one. Extech EX430. Easy to get out. Nice mechanical industrial feel. So this is an adjustable one. It's a really tall and narrow meter, so it's not very stable at this setting, but it goes back farther. Man, this one really has some force to it. Definitely stable enough in the farther back position, and in that position you can push the buttons. The higher up one, it's almost guaranteed that it would fall over. Yeah. And then that is a super lean back position. So, and then if you go all the way up, you can use it as a hanger. So, yeah, very good. Radio Shack. Kind of hard to get out, but not the worst. Huh. It's got a wall hanging nub kit thing right there. That's kind of a neat touch. Anyways. It's wide. It's not that wide, but yeah, completely stable. No problems. I can push the buttons. And either they got lucky or some of the engineers know what they're doing. It just, some multimeters are completely stable. You can hit the buttons without them falling over. They're easy to get out with your finger. They're still tough and durable. While some of the other ones you saw, like the one on the circuit test, are just ridiculous. It's like they never tested it. They designed it and said, oh, that'll be fine, and went straight to production without any kind of QA process, and that's just terrible. And UT61E, which will be identical to the D, so I'll be quick and brief. Nice and wide, comes out easily, super stable, you can push the buttons. Not a problem at all, very good. Okay, it's time to take a look at the screens because, well, that's pretty important. It is how your multimeter communicates to you. Well, I guess with continuity there's sound, but it's mostly visual. Okay, so we have the Amprobe AM-530. Decent sized, pretty, well, I'd say average sized display, and a pretty good contrast. Oh, that's the flashlight. We have to hold this one. And a nice even backlight without any hot spots or anything, so I'd say it's pretty good. Alright, now we have the circuit test DMR 6550. It's actually got a pretty good size. It's not big in width, but it's kind of tall. The digits are tall. It's a tall display, despite it being a tiny little meter. So contrast is good, visibility good, and very, very nice backlight, kind of a purplish blue. And so I like it. That is not bad at all. And like I said, I can't comment on the... Oh, this circuit test is just disappointing me. It was a little more expensive than the rest of the meters, so I thought that that might mean we get a better meter. But so far, I'm not liking much about this stupid thing. What's the point? If you need a backlight, obviously you're in a dark situation, and why would you only need the backlight for 10 seconds in a dark situation? That is crap. Is that even 10 seconds? That's horrible. So that's crap. I mean, you might as well not include a backlight at that point because it's worthless. And there's no menu system on a meter like this, so it's not like you can go adjust the timeout for the backlight. That's crap. I wish it were a switch or something. I know it's probably for battery savings, but who cares? I'd rather go through batteries more quickly than to have to hit this button every 10 seconds to keep the display lit up if I'm working in a dark situation. Which I will say though, I've never once ever needed the backlight to a multimeter ever. I've always had lighting around, so that's never been a big deal, but for people that do, that's just makes it useless. I can't believe they do that crap. Might as well clump these together. Uni-T are generally known for having really good displays. They're really, really good contrast. This is 22,000 count, so to fit more characters on the screen, they had to make the digits smaller than on the D model. But it's still really good contrast, really easy to read, and unfortunately this doesn't have a backlight. But the lower model, the D, the lower counts one, it does. And it's very bright, very even, bluish, light bluish, baby blue kind of color. So excellent backlight on this guy, and just like the circuit test, super quick timeout, and that's just annoying and stupid. I don't know why they do that crap, but anyways, they're both really easy to read, and the digits could be a little bigger on this one. It's kind of tiny, but maybe it's, well, I was gonna say maybe it's to make room for the bar graph, but this one is a bar graph too, so whatever. Radio Shack. It's okay. The little mask they put around the screen is too close to the screen, so it kind of almost cuts the letters off when it's back on its kickstand. So that's kind of shitty design. And the contrast isn't very sharp on this one. It's a little washed out despite being... Oh, this is a weird one. Okay, every multimeter ever pretty much that I've seen, when you look at it square on, the contrast is a little washed out, and then if you lean it back a hair, it sharpens up and the contrast gets higher. This is a weird case where when it's back on its kickstand, it's actually washed out, and then it's sharpest when it's dead on. I don't know if I've ever seen one like that. That's really weird, but and then I don't see any buttons for a backlight, so I'm guessing there's no backlight. So yeah, not that great. That's could be better. Got the Extech. Oh, that's a hard to turn. Huge display, huge lettering. Update rate seems to be pretty quick, maybe 3 a second-ish. And then green backlight. It's not even, it's got these little hot spots. It's not a fancier looking one, but I mean, obviously it would get you by, so. And it'd be even better if it stayed on for a while. It's obviously staying on longer than the other one, so it's at least more than 10 seconds. So good contrast. I like the display, very good. Klein tools. Huge display, probably the best contrast out of all of them so far, at least in person. It's super crisp. And let's see, where's the backlight? It's this one. Wow, that has to be the best backlight I might have ever seen on a multimeter. Look at that. So it's daytime here. I think it's like 3 in the afternoon. I have my window blinds open. I have the light from my mag lamp on and aimed over here. I have my workbench LED light strips all turned on to max. It's super bright, and I have the room light in here. It's super bright in here, and look how bright this backlight still is. That's freaking awesome. This is probably the best display so far. Now, I'm not speaking in terms of update rate or anything like that, but if this lasts longer than 10 seconds, I'd say this is probably easily the best. But that also tells me it's probably chewing batteries. But there's no hot spots. They got it so perfectly even. I don't know how they do that. That's awesome. So good job, Klein Tools. And look how long it's lasting. Maybe it indefinitely stays on until you force it back off. Either way, probably the best so far. We'll see if someone can dethrone it. Probably not going to be the BK. It doesn't even have a backlight. Tiny screen. Contrast could be, well, from a far back angle, it's not bad. Contrast could be a little better straight on, but yeah, if from back it's fine. But just it's a tiny little display, so no backlight. Average, maybe a little below average. I don't know how to rate that. It's okay. Tekpower TP2844R. Despite it being one of the smaller meters, it has nice big display. Contrast is decent, and it is a, oh cool, it's a red backlight. I don't know if I've ever seen a red backlight. Maybe my Amprobe does, I don't know. But anyways, super hot spot over on this side, and this side's a little dim, but in a pitch black room, that would get you by, so. But did that just time out even faster than the circuit tested? Let's find out. If it did, then it's kind of pointless. Yeah, that's shit. That's like 10 seconds. So display, oh, display's fine. It's great. It's big. It's pretty decent contrast, but the backlight is not great, hot spot, and it doesn't last long enough to be useful. UEI. Tiniest display of all of them, I believe, but it's got really sharp contrast, so it's easy to read. It does also, wow. Oh, it's dedicated backlight, so you don't have to hold it. You can just push it to turn on. Super bright. That actually might be as bright or brighter than the Klein was, actually. And it's been over 10 seconds and it's still on, so well, that might be more 20 or 30 seconds, but at least it's a single button. You have to hold it, so even though it's annoying and it powers off after 20 seconds or something, at least you can hit one single button quickly and turn it on, where the other ones, when they time out, you have to push and hold the button. I was hoping maybe if you hold it, there's some way to keep it on perpetually, but yeah, for being a tiny display, really sharp contrast, really awesome backlight, and it lasts longer than the other ones, but it still times out, but at least it's a single button push, so very good on this one. Okay, we got the Holdpeak. I would say that is the largest display out of all of them by far. Those digits are massive. In fact, let me put this next to it for comparison. Look at that. So, huge display. Let's check out the backlight. Pretty good. Not as bright as the Klein or the UTL UEI one, but it's pretty good. A little bit of hot spottage over there, but I can't complain. Huge digits. Contrast is pretty damn good. Update rate looks like it's blazing fast on this thing. Just incredible for a $27 meter. And it looked like it timed out, but I think it lasted at least 20 or 30 seconds. So yeah, I'd say display on this is very good. Tekpower TP40. Not the greatest contrast. You have to be just at the perfect angle, which is about like that. And so at the angle that it leans this back at, it's not the greatest contrast. Let's check out the backlight. Wow. Yeah, that's probably on par, if not brighter than the Klein. So, excellent backlight. But the question is, how long does it last? We'll give it 5 to 10 seconds, and if it doesn't turn off, we'll assume it's half decent. But like all of them, you have to hold the button, which is pretty annoying. I'd say that's been 10 seconds. Well, it wouldn't have been more than about 15 seconds, so annoying that it powers off like the rest, but it's not the shortest, and it's brighter than hell. Good lord, that is bright. So, yeah, not bad. Average, but the backlight's excellent. If it lasted longer, it'd be incredible. Southwire. See, I don't like when the digits are thick like this. It makes it hard to read. I don't know. Maybe it's just a personal preference thing. It might not bug other people, but I don't like when the digits are just super thick like that. It makes it harder to read the digits quickly. But it does have a dedicated backlight button. It's a little bit hot spotted on the right side, but it's a light bluish, purplish color, and it's pretty even, and it's very good. I'd say it's above average in brightness. And I'm hoping that it'll last at least a good 10 seconds. Because I mean, even if it doesn't last too long, it's got a dedicated button. One quick push and it's immediately back on. So yeah, and this is going for a long time. So contrast really good. Digits are a little thicker than I prefer, but not bad at all. So not bad at all. For how tiny it is, it does have really big digits, and they're skinny, and there's not a. It's not the typical 7 segment where the corners are like the little angled pieces. Well, I guess they're still angled, but these fit together, and it makes for a more fluid number. I don't know what the hell I'm saying, but it looks good. They're skinny, but they're tall, and the contrast is pretty good. So the display is good. There's just no backlight. So this one is a good, but no backlight. Last but not least, Chinese baby Fluke. It's small and it's okay, and it's got a pathetically weak backlight compared to some of the other ones, but I mean it's super even, and that would definitely get you by as long as it stays on for a little while. So yeah, it's not bad. The contrast is really, really good, so I like the contrast. The letters or the numbers could be a little bigger. They're kind of on the small side, but it is probably the smallest meter out of all of them. It's super thin, super short, and look how light the backlight's staying on. That's excellent. So Fluke, very good.